Employees, what's the weirdest thing a customer did that made you question humanity? I used to work at a budget grocery store where everything looked like it wanted to expire just from the fluorescent lighting alone. One night, when I was about 7 hours into a 6-hour shift, you know how that goes, this guy walks in holding something bundled in a dingy white tube sock. At first, I thought it was going to be a kitten or maybe a squirrel he found and wanted advice on. Nope. I was not ready. This man slams the sock on my conveyor belt, and immediately there's this wet slap sound. My soul left my body. He unties the top of the sock like it's a sacred pouch and dumps the contents onto the belt. A grayish-brown lump of meat that might have once been steak but now looked like roadkill that lost a fight with a heat wave. He goes, "I want to return this. It went bad." I blinked at him, waiting for him to say he was kidding. He wasn't. I said, "Sir, why, is it in a sock?" He says with full confidence, "I didn't have a bag." As if that cleared things up. As if socks are the natural second choice for food transportation. I told him we couldn't return it without packaging. He told me, "This is packaging," and gestures at the sock like it's hermetically sealed NASA-grade preservation technology. Meanwhile, the belt had stopped working because the meat juice had shorted the sensor. My manager had to come over and have what I can only describe as the most bizarre standoff I've ever seen between a human being and a decaying steak wrapped in cotton hosiery. He argued for 20 minutes. 20. At some point he yelled, "This is why America's going downhill," as if the nation's collapse hinged on his ability to get Ford 17 back. He finally left after my manager printed a fake return denied slip so he'd stop screaming. The moment he walked out, the sock fell off the counter, and I swear it hit the floor with a sound that still haunts me. I question humanity daily, but that man made me question evolution. I worked at a pharmacy during my early 20s, just trying to save up for nursing school. One evening, a woman in her 60s came to the counter with a basket full of random items: Q-tips, 2 jars of pickles, a crossword book, and children's glitter glue. Pretty standard weird mix for CVS. I greet her, start scanning. She looks at me like she's trying to figure out where she recognizes me from. That happens sometimes, but the intensity was unsettling. She whispers, "You look just like my husband." I smile politely. "Oh, that's kind of you." That's when she leans closer and murmurs, "He died in 1997. Okay, bit heavy for aisle 12 vibes, but fine. People grieve in their own ways. Then she says, in the softest, eeriest tone imaginable, "I think you came back. Not, you remind me of him. Not, you resemble him. Nope, I was him reincarnated." My brain flatlined. She proceeds to tell me her entire love story, their wedding, his tragic heart attack, her loneliness, and the signs she's been seeing that hint he would return in another vessel. Meanwhile, I'm standing there holding a jar of pickles like it's an emotional support object. Customers behind her are awkwardly backing away like she's a possessed Roomba about to latch onto them next. Then she reaches out and strokes my cheek. Y'all, I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I didn't want to initiate any side quests. My manager saw what was happening and immediately intervened with the speed of a soccer goalie saving a penalty kick. He pulls me aside, deals with her himself, and after she leaves tells me, "Take your break, or a vacation, or a sabbatical, or early retirement." For weeks afterward, she kept coming by leaving random little gifts, a Thai cookies, a poem she wrote titled, "The Man Returned." Every shift I prayed to any higher being available that she wouldn't show up to this day. I wonder less about humanity and more about whether reincarnation has customer loyalty cards. So, I used to work at this mid-tier grocery store chain that pretends it's fancy because they sell organic pickles and play soft jazz near the produce section. I was 19, emotionally fragile, and making $9.75 an hour to watch humanity unravel in front of me. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for the Chicken Man incident. It was a regular Tuesday morning. Too early, too quiet, the kind of morning where even the rotisserie chickens in their little sauna machine looked tired. I was stocking yogurt and thinking about how every life choice I'd made had led me to this exact moment of existential dairy despair. Then I heard it, a noise that I still struggle to describe. Imagine a chicken screaming, but like with intention, like it was trying to communicate or cast a curse. I turned around and there he was. This middle-aged guy in a windbreaker hair sticking out at angles like a static-charged broom, staring at the rotisserie chickens with an expression of absolute spiritual betrayal. Before I could ask if he needed help, he reached into the rotisserie case, grabbed a chicken with his bare hands, and slapped it onto the floor like he was challenging it to a duel. The chicken rolled pathetically. He shouted in the most nasal voice I've ever heard. "This one is too judgmental, sir." What I froze. The chicken was just lying there looking up at me like, "Bro, please." I tried to do employee brain like, okay, stay calm, de-escalate, find a manager. But my soul had left my body and was hovering above us like a confused Victorian ghost. Then the man picked up another chicken bare hands again. This man feared no grease and shouted, "This one looks like my ex-wife." He threw that one too, right next to the first one, like he was assembling some kind of rotisserie crime scene. Customers started backing away slowly. One woman was filming. A kid was crying. A random dude whispered, "Bro, is this performance art?" I finally managed to squeak out, "Sir, you can't, throw the chickens." He turned to me like I had personally insulted his lineage and yelled, "They are mocking me." I swear to God, he pointed at the rotating chickens, the ones on the spit, and hissed like a feral possum full teeth. At this point, my manager Rick comes power walking over. Rick always walked like his Fitbit was holding his family hostage. "What seems to be the problem? Why are the chickens on the floor?" Chicken Man immediately straightened his spine like an offended heron and said, "These chickens are conspiring against me, they know what they did." Rick blinked in slow motion. "Sir, they're chickens." This absolute legend of chaos leaned in close to Rick and whispered, "You don't know what they're capable of." Rick just walked away, didn't even deal with it, just turned around and muttered, "Nope," like he was refusing to participate in the simulation. Chicken Man then bent down, gently picked up a chicken he had thrown, gave it a tender pat like it was a misbehaving pet, placed it back in the case, and then he tried to buy it. It had been on the floor for like 90 seconds, covered in tile germs and despair. I said, "Sir, I can't sell you that chicken." He looked betrayed. "Why not?" It touched the floor. He squinted at me like I was the weird one. Everything touches the floor eventually. Then he walked to checkout empty-handed, muttering something about rotisserie oppression and how they always win. We had to throw away 12 chickens because of contamination protocols. To this day, whenever someone asks me if retail customers are really that weird, I just stare into the distance and whisper, "Sometimes they fight poultry demons." I used to work at this mid-tier grocery store where the AC was always broken and the Muzak was stuck on a loop of 3 particularly cursed 80s soft rock songs. So the place already had a purgatory for minimum wage souls vibe even before the customers factored in. But one Tuesday morning, a man walked in holding a blender like it was a newborn baby. I don't mean carrying it. I mean cradling it, stroking the container, whispering to it. He even made little shushing noises as if the blender was overwhelmed by the harsh fluorescent lights. I swear I was already mentally preparing an incident report. He walks up to my register, sets the blender down gently like it's made of crystal and trauma, and says, "She's not feeling well today. Please be gentle." At first I'm thinking, maybe he's returning it. Maybe he's joking. Maybe he's an eccentric YouTuber doing some kind of prank. Nope. This man proceeds to unzip a baby stroller, pull out a small pillow, and place the blender on the pillow. Then he says, "Do you have gluten-free coconut water? She can only drink that." Sir, your blender does not drink anything. Your blender does not have feelings. Your blender is not real. But corporate policy said we cannot challenge guest beliefs unless there is imminent danger, which felt like a sentence ripped straight out of an alien observation manual. So I take him to the beverage aisle. He rolls the stroller with the blender buckled into it. He narrates to the blender the entire time. All right, sweetheart, we're moving now. Hold on to daddy. In the aisle, he places 6 cartons of coconut water into the stroller basket, then hand to God asks, if we can have the store's nurse check the blender's wiring because she's been sluggish. We do not have a store nurse. We barely have functioning self-checkout machines. I tell him I can get someone from appliances. He nods gravely like he's just approved a heart surgery. Appliances guy comes out, sees the blender in the stroller, sees the man holding its cord like a tiny hand, and immediately goes, "Nope," and turns right back around. Leaves me abandoned with blender dad. Eventually, the man decides the coconut water cheered her up and leaves the store carrying the blender against his chest and thanking me for saving her life. Honestly, that was the moment I knew humanity was on a countdown timer. Okay, buckle up because this story still haunts my soul like a cold French fry stuck under a car seat. Back when I was 19, I worked at this big box craft store that smelled like cinnamon pine cones and despair. Saturdays were war. Football game level crowds but armed with 50% off coupons and rage. I was running the register already sweating through my cheap polo when she entered. I didn't know it yet, but this woman would go down as the strangest human I'd ever encounter. She was probably in her late 40s, dressed like a Victorian ghost who shops at TJ Maxx, layers of scarves, jangly bracelets, hair that looked like it escaped a home perming accident. She marched straight to my register holding a single mason jar. Just one, nothing else. Already suspicious. I give her my customer service smile, the one that screams internally, and say, "Hi, find everything okay today?" She looks me dead in the eye and says, "No." Cool, cool, cool. Then she lowers the mason jar onto the counter like it contains a bomb. She taps the lid once. Tink. Then says, "There's something in it." Now, context. People come into craft stores with all kinds of weird requests. I once helped a lady pick out decorative gravel for her dead hamster's memorial garden. I thought I'd seen everything. I had not. I ask, what's in it? Thinking maybe glitter spilled or she left the price tag inside. She whispers, "A spirit." I swear to God I thought she was joking. I waited for the laugh. Nothing. She stared with the intensity of someone who definitely microwaves aluminum foil. I peek inside. It's empty, like aggressively empty. I say, "Okay, what would you like me to do?" She leans forward and says, "It escaped." My soul left my body like a balloon slipping from a child's hand. I ask, in the most customer service professional voice I've ever mustered, "Ma'am, what escaped?" She looks around the store like she's checking for the FBI and whispers, "My husband." Now, my brain froze, because what is the appropriate response here? "Oh no, your ghost husband escaped into aisle 12 near the googly eyes?" Before I can process, she starts explaining, loudly, in detail, telling me her late husband's soul resides in the jar, but she opened it to let him breathe, and now he's bouncing around the store, and she can feel him tugging on her hair. She then grabs a handful of her own hair and starts yanking. It looked like a horror movie audition. Meanwhile, there's a line behind her waiting to buy scrapbooking stickers listening to this like they paid for seats. People were staring at me like, "Please fix this." But I'm 19 and getting paid $925 an hour. I can't fix free-range ghosts in aisle 14. She begs me for help. She wants me to announce over the PA system, "Attention shoppers, if you see a spirit resembling a middle-aged man named Harold, please guide him back to the front." I obviously cannot do that. I gently suggest she check the aisles herself and she nods very seriously, whispers, "He always did like the yarn," and marches toward the yarn section, holding the empty jar like a butterfly net. I think it's over. It is not over. 5 minutes later, I hear screaming, like primal triumphant screaming. She comes sprinting toward my register, holding the jar up high like she just won the Ghost Olympics. She yells, "I got him!" There is nothing in the jar. It is as empty as my will to live during that shift. She slams it back onto my counter. He's in there now. You can ring it up. She wants to purchase the jar, not return it. Buy it because it now contains Harold. I ring it up as fast as humanly possible. She pays in exact change, winks at me and whispers, "He likes you." I almost quit on the spot. She leaves. The store returns to normal. The people in line shuffle forward, like we didn't just collectively witness the unraveling of sanity. And then, this is the part that truly broke me. Old man behind her goes, "Huh, reminds me of my ex-wife." I think about that shift a lot. I question the universe. I question life. But mainly, I question why the ghost jar lady was allowed unsupervised in public. If I ever see a mason jar again, I get mild PTSD. I used to work the closing shift at a 24/7 grocery store, the kind with flickering fluorescent lights that make everyone look like they're halfway to ghosthood, and a smell in aisle 6 that management swore wasn't mold but absolutely was. Night shift brings in the strangest creatures, but nothing prepared me for the Cocoa Puff incident of 2019. So it's about 2:37 a.m., the witching hour for caffeine-addicted teenagers, divorced dads buying frozen pizza, and people who smell like they fought a raccoon behind a dumpster, and lost I'm stocking cereal minding my business when I hear these weird, heavy footsteps. Slow, purposeful, dramatic in a way that suggested this person practiced walking for intimidation in front of a mirror. I turn around and see a man built like a disgruntled refrigerator, bald head, tank top, even though it's winter, flip-flops with socks. He's holding something behind his back. Never good. He approaches me without breaking eye contact, which is an immediate red flag because no sane person maintains straight eye contact under fluorescent lighting. "Hey," he says, voice gravelly, "You the cereal guy." I say, "I guess." He nods deeply like I've just confirmed a prophecy. Then and I swear on my tax returns, this is real. He dramatically swings his arm forward and reveals a half-empty bag of Cocoa Puffs tied shut with a shoelace, a literal shoelace. He shoves it into my hands like he's handing over evidence in a murder trial. "These," he says, "are cursed." I laugh because obviously that's a joke, but his eyes do not blink. Not once, not a twitch, nothing, just pure uncut sincerity. I try to hand it back. He takes a step closer. "No, you need to hear me out." Now the bag is squishy in my hands, and warm in a way cereal should not be warm. I'm already questioning my life decisions. He clears his throat and delivers the following monologue. "So I bought these Cocoa Puffs earlier. Normal stuff. I go home. I open the bag. I eat some fine. But then like 2 hours later, I'm sitting on my couch watching YouTube and the bag." He pauses. The bag starts rustling. I'm thinking, all right, maybe a mouse, maybe air escaping, maybe he's hallucinating because he looks like the type of guy who microwaves his vape juice. But no. He shakes his head slowly, not rustling, whispering. My brain blue screens. The cereal bag whispered, like cereal ASMR. I try to pull out a rational explanation, but he interrupts. It said my name. At this point, I'm convinced this dude either A, hasn't slept in 6 days, B, ate an edible 4x stronger than FDA guidelines for a human, or C, is experiencing cereal-based psychological warfare. He continues, "I thought maybe it was a demon or like a government thing, like a surveillance serial." Surveillance serial, I cannot emphasize the seriousness on his face. This man truly believed the CIA was hiding microchips in Cocoa Puffs to spy on him personally, a guy who bought off-brand paper towels and asked for pennies back in change. I asked, "Did you hear it again?" He nods vigorously. It said, "Hey buddy," and then it said, "Nice shirt," but I was shirtless. He leans closer like he's delivering a confession. I think it was mocking me, I being paid $1,025 an hour, say the only thing my brain can produce. "Sir, are you sure it wasn't like the TV?" He throws his hands up dramatically. "No, because I smashed the TV to make sure." So now I'm picturing this man shirtless in the dark, smashing his Samsung because Cocoa Puffs flirted with him. Then he says, "I brought the cursed bag here so you can examine it, like corporate will know what to do with it, right? Corporate can't even fix the broken freezer that's been dripping like a sad glacier for 6 months. Corporate can barely handle coupons. Corporate is not equipped for demonic breakfast foods. I try to hand him back the bag like, "Sir, we don't do exorcisms." But he steps away like I'm radioactive. "No, you take it, dispose of it correctly, burn it, or bury it." Or, he looks around, lowers his voice and whispers, "Feed it to someone you don't like." What in the unholy Shrek logic was that he then turns around, walks straight out of the store without buying anything, not even with the Cocoa Puffs, which reminder, he has just gifted me like a demonic party favor. I'm left holding this cursed shoelace-tied bag of warm cereal. My manager walks by, sees me holding it, and goes, "Why the hell are you holding that like it's a newborn?" I attempt to explain I really do. But halfway through describing how the cereal whispered his name, my manager just puts a hand on my shoulder and says, "The saddest sentence I've ever heard, please for the love of God throw that away and clock out." So I take the bag outside to the dumpster. It makes a weird sloshing sound. I don't investigate. I don't open it. I don't question it. I throw it into the dumpster and walk away like I'm leaving behind a crime scene. The next day the bag is gone. I don't mean the trash was collected, I mean everything else in the dumpster was there except the Cocoa Puffs. To this day, I still think about it at 3 a.m. somewhere out there. Either A raccoon is now haunted, B, a rat has mental telepathy, C, or that customer was right, and I just participated in cereal-based demonic containment. Either way, that was the night I truly realized humanity is doomed.